Migrant workers, immigrants, refugees, displaced peoples. Many of us were forced to leave our home countries because of poverty, landlessness, unemployment, racial and political persecution, wars and conflicts. All these because our own governments champion the policies of neoliberal globalization. We are seen as labor without a face, without a heart. We are treated only as machines, working long hours, with subhuman wages, bad working conditions, abused, violated, driven away, dehumanized. We are treated as commodities whose value depends on the dollars we send. We are modern-day slaves.
This worsening situation only motivated us to study and analyze our situation on why we are in foreign countries and not where our families live. We confronted the problems we face individually and as a sector. We learned to struggle and fight collectively. For so many years, we have been waging struggles and campaigns on issues affecting us and our families back home. Nationally, regionally, and internationally, migrant workers everywhere in the world began to rise up.
Together with us are various national, regional, and international institutions, churches, advocates, service providers, academics, and supporters. They gave an important contribution in the formation of a global grassroots movement of migrants.
After so many years, so many experiences, so many struggles won, we have finally come to a historic peak in our struggle, to come and unite under one banner, to form this global alliance which we ourselves will lead, the International Migrants Alliance.
Banners are waving from a distant horizon, carried by millions of migrants all over the world. Thunderous chorus of voices is echoing everywhere. And as we march with our clenched fists, in unison we shout, struggle, resist, united in one stand, firm and resolute. Migrants on the march, onward we shall move.
The International Migrants Alliance, or the IMA, is a global alliance of grassroots migrant organizations of various nationalities and institutions working for the grassroots migrants. We create the IMA to link our issues and forge our struggles under one international banner. The IMA is progressive and democratic.
The IMA is progressive because we defend our rights, interests, and well-being, and because we fight for a better and just world where families are not broken up by the urgent need for survival, where neoliberal globalization and imperialist exploitation and oppression do not exist.
The IMA is democratic because we are proud to be grassroots. We are grassroots and are working for grassroots. We reach out to more organized and unorganized migrants to strengthen our global movement. More importantly, we unite and work with other oppressed sectors, with farmers and workers, women and youth.
The IMA is a symbol of our sincerest commitment to build that global migrant movement that is unified as one sector.
As we build this new alliance, we are confronted by many problems and challenges. Different names for the same anti-migrant policy. Different names for the same anti-people policies. We have to face them head on.
Wages,
Job security,
illegal recruitment and overcharging,
human and sex trafficking,
HIV and health,
racism, xenophobia, and discrimination.
these issues, these concerns will link and raise to the general issues of remittances and state-imposed exactions,
Commodification,
the war on terror.
neoliberal globalization.
Today, on this historic day, the IMA is ready to face these challenges.
For many years, many have spoken in our behalf. Now we speak for ourselves.
Migrants on the march, onward we shall move. Migrants on the march, onward we shall move.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we just like I get inspired with the video.
Yes.
IMA, that is very true that we need this time to speak for ourselves.
Yes. Long live the International Migrants Alliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today again, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, because we are not only just in Asia Pacific, but we hope that all the members of IMA can join together in the one day global action. So again, my name is Sringatin. I'm from Indonesia, working in Hong Kong, and also the chairperson of Indonesian Migrant Workers Union, and one of the spokesperson of Asia Migrant Coordinating Body and IMA Hong Kong Macau. So I will be the one of your moderator on this online action, and this action taken by different countries in Asia Pacific to support the grassroots migrants and refugees in accordance in going International Migrant Review or IMRF 2020 in New York, USA. The IRMF will review and plan the implementation of Global Compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration. So today I'm not alone.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Magandang araw. Hello everyone. I'm Dolores Valladares Pelayes from United Filipinos in Hong Kong, or Unifil Migrante. I'm also one of the spokesperson of Asian Migrants Coordinating Body, a member of International Migrant Alliance. And today or tonight, please join us and witness the different messages of IMA Asia Pacific on this Global Day of Action of Migrants and Refugees for Health, Aid, Jobs, and Justice. But before we call on our first speaker, reminder to all our televiewers, don't forget to click like our FB page, International Migrants Alliance, and share this broadcast to all your social media platforms and invite friends to watch us now. So we are, people can watch us all over the world.
Yeah, I think that this is very important that during pandemic that migrant workers not just be silent. We need to do something. We cannot go to New York how to monitoring what the government report in
Yes.
the United United Nation. Yeah. So that's why we asking our fellow migrants, please share our broadcast today, and also remember to put hashtag
Yes.
what migrants want.
Yeah,
So,
actually, we have
yeah.
several hashtags.
Yeah, that's right. Put
Yeah.
hashtag.
Yeah, but before that, if you have some messages, you can also leave your message to our chat box, and we will read it during our program or later of this program.
Yes.
And then, yeah, Sri also.
Yeah, you can share. Like since this morning, by at 12 p.m. we starting our members to post their poster and what their demand. So remember to put the hashtags like
Yeah.
hashtag GCM for rights and justice, and hashtag what migrants want, and also hashtag nothing about migrant without migrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, to open our program, Lolo, and give
Yes.
us the overview what happening right now in the US, especially in the United Nations. Yeah, here's Anil Lestari, the chairperson of International Migrant Alliance that joined in the IMRF, and also today they will doing global action in New York. So
Live.
yeah,
In New York.
yeah, welcome
And
Annie,
Annie?
and yes, and thank you
Hello,
for yeah.
good morning. No, good morning here. Good evening there, everyone.
Yes, because we have a 12-hour difference from Asia
Yeah.
Pacific to New York. Yeah. So Annie, maybe you can share with us what happened in New York, especially in United Nations. Why IMA need to be there with their
Yeah.
representative?
Yeah. So, if you remember in 2016, IMA was given opportunity to speak during the United Nations Summit on Migrants and Refugee, and I was speaking in the opening ceremony of that United Nation, and that summit, they come up with agreement. They will approve, or they will come up with global compact on migration. So we call it GCM. The GCM was approved in 2018 in I forgot the country, and then so in 2018, and then one of the commitment of the GCM. So the GCM is a new agreement where all government and also private and UN uh, agree to protect the rights of the migrant workers everywhere in the world. Yeah. But the problem with this GCM, it is not legally binding. That means country are allowed to follow or not to follow. And even if they follow, for example, Indonesian government and Bangladesh are the champion country. They are the follower. They call themselves follower of the GCM. They apply the GCM, yeah, but it doesn't mean that they change national law. So they just do whatever they want to do, but doesn't mean that they are legally must reform the regulation inside the country. So that's why it's not legally binding. And for those countries who don't want to adopt the GCM, is also okay. So this is one of the biggest problem in the GCM. How can we ask accountability of government if they don't have to be legally binding under the GCM? So this is one of the weakness in the GCM. So in one of the agreement in the GCM, that every 4 years they will organize international migration review forum. So this international migration review forum, IMRF, is for all government to sit down together and report back what have you done for the migrants. The United Nations will also declare how far we achieve the GCM target. Yeah, so they have 23 target. So so what are the problem or the challenges in the GCM implementation? So this meeting that I and many of the IMA members, also FPWLD, CWWM participate, are the first round of the IMRF. So that means there will be second round, third round, and even fourth round. Yeah. So this is one of the process that we need to follow up all the time. Yeah. So now what happened in the first round? So the meeting of the first round happened from the 16th until 20th of May. The first day is actually the meeting of all organization, NGO, the church, grassroots organization, UN bodies, and many people. So one of the agreement or the sentiment or the voice that has been very strong in the first day of meeting, that 80% of the people inside the forum agree that all negotiation on migration should involve the direct participation of grassroots migrants. So this is one of the victory that IMA has achieved, yeah, because never been in the history the United Nations even think like that. They always think talking about export, like international bodies, researcher, academe. They never even want to include migrants. But even on the first day of the meeting, 80% of the CSO, they actually support IMA call. Everyone say nothing about migrants without migrants. So that's become a magic word, like everyone talk about that. So, but also they recognize that the number of the grassroots migrants joining the meeting is very small. It's very small. And also partly because it's very difficult to come, the visa is a problem, there is no money, and then also many of the migrants cannot take holiday just to come to this meeting. So this is one of the critic to the United Nations process. How can you ask us to be active in the process if you don't even open the door for us to participate? We cannot pay our own expenses to come here. It's very expensive. Even the ticket is already 1,500 US, like almost 15-20,000 Hong Kong. And the hotel every day is like 2,000. So who can even come here and pay all these expenses? So practically, the government and the United Nations should be the one paying for all these expenses, if they want really migrants to participate. So this is one of our strong critique to the United Nations, to the CSO and also United Nations. But what actually happening yesterday on the 19th of May was the opening of the official opening. Yeah, when we say official opening, this is open officially by the President of the Global Assembly, the Secretary General of the United Nations, and even all government come. The ministry or at least the representative. Yeah. So and many of the speaker in the opening also support our call. Nothing about migrants without the migrants. So this is very important. Even the chairperson or the director or the president of the International Organization of Migrants is also agreeing to that any discussion we do should involve the migrants. So I think this is again become the echo of IMA line, IMA political call in the GCM. Yeah. Now the question that actually become very important, that is we learn from the meetings, that uh, uh, if even migrant workers want to join in the process of the GCM, which is national level and then regional, international. In the national level, our own government, Hong Kong government, Taiwan government, Singapore, or any other government, or even the rich government like Australia, New Zealand, the USA, they do not have any mechanism at national level on how migrant organization can be part of the process. For example, government do not make any clear plan how many times in a year we are going to meet with the migrants organization. One time, two time, three time, and so that's the reason why even we have so many things to say, we cannot say to the government. In our experience, most of the time, it is the migrant organization who call the meeting with the government, right? So it's not the government calling a meeting with us. So this is one big homework. So that's what we say to the UN bodies and to the other CSO, to the government. You want us to participate, but you don't have even clear system and mechanism how we can participate. It's just become a word. Just invite us, but you never open the door. So useless, right? So this is one thing we challenge them now. And also another thing that we also challenge them is also that the different regulation and national level during COVID-19 has been very bad against the migrants. They deport migrants, they don't increase the wages, they prevent us to work, And also we are excluded from the COVID-19 program. So how can you even ask us to participate if we are excluded from all this benefit? Yeah. So practically, we cannot even come up. Gathering means you might be fined ticket. And then you cannot speak up because no country allowing us to even protest now. So like how you want us to even participate? So this become very hypocrite. Yeah. So that's why we tell them again, unless you change and reform the different regulation that make us invisible, unable to come out, then you cannot participate. So GCM will also be useless if there is no way for us to even participate. Yeah. So that kind of the last thing that I want to say, now many people are talking about meaningful participation of migrants in the GCM. So when we try, we now many NGO and United Nations is also trying to understand what do you mean with meaningful participation, because involving migrants in the process is not that easy. Migrants, many of us undocumented, overstay. Many of us work in different sector, no day off, and then sometimes you have a job this year, next year you will be deported, something like that. So it's very difficult to even gather the migrants, and no migrants are permanent. Most migrants are temporary. So all the more it's become difficult. So that's why they discuss then how they can participate and meaningfully. That's why in IMA we tell them, when we say meaningful, of course, first and foremost is the direct participation of migrants, because we should come in person to talk to you if you want us to tell you what are our problem. Otherwise, it is not meaningful, right? But
Yeah.
not only one person, it should be many, many, many people, because we come from different sector, different countries, different contexts. And these countries and context are so different by regulation. So that's why the more you talk to us is better. The more migrants can come is better. But the number second, the more important thing is that any policy or regulation that come up from your country should reflect our problem. You should also accommodate our problem and our aspiration in the regulation. What happened on the ground is whenever there is new regulation, it's always against migrants' right. So then our discussion is becoming useless, because even we talk to you, the regulation is not even in our favor. So what is the use of even talking to you? Then it become tokenistic. It just become a symbolic dialogue. We feel that we are being used by the government to legitimize their anti-migrants regulation, and this is one thing we are very very careful about. So I think this is the major statement that we come forward. But you know that all the government who come from yesterday and today is still continuing. Yeah, they just always say that we are okay, we are able to achieve many things. GCM is working. They do their best. What they want is more cross-border coordination, improvement in terms of cooperation, for example, between country with the different global and regional bodies like United Nations, IOM, but none of them acknowledge the problem that we are facing on the ground. So this kind of the gap between what government say and what we experience is something that we have to be very very critical. But to be more critical, we need to bring really more number of grassroots migrants to the United Nations. This time, IMA has around 12 people from our
It's very,
delegation. But
very little.
yeah, this is quite big, yeah, because before only 1 or 2%. Now we have like 12 people, and out of 12, 8 of us were able to speak. So it's a big, big
Good.
achievement. And
Yeah.
yeah, so we actually dominate the discussion already, even on the first day. But the problem is the speaker for the following is very selective, and they do not tell us how they select all the speakers. So this is a problem. The IMRF process has been very, very secretive, untransparent, unclear. We do not know how that person is selected. How do you become a speaker even, unlike in my time when I was selected in 2016, it was really open process. There were 400 applicants who applied to speak, and out of 400 there were only 11 being selected by the selection committee, and the selection committee composed by different NGOs coming from different region. So there is no secret among them, and each one of us who apply have to tell the selection committee who we are. We have to tell them our record, something like that. So when I was selected, it was really a product of more democratic, open process. But this time it's highly secretive, untransparent. You do not know who they are, like what they are talking about sometimes. So this is the kind of a process we also want to critique in the IMRF. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the overall report.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you, Annie, for the update. Yeah, you want to ask something, Lola?
yes, well, I just want to comment and other colleagues there that despite of the limitation, they were able to raise
Yes.
our issues. And hopefully, next time with what Annie is saying, we can send more delegation to raise our concern. And what is very important is not only knowing and raising our concern, but concrete steps and actions that will alleviate the problems of migrants and refugees all over the world.
Yeah, I think that this is also how we, join together to monitoring the IMRF, because based on any information, there is no transparent,
Yeah.
there is no meaningful participation, and also there is no mandatory for every member of United Nations to make a report how they implement GCM. So I think that we don't know how the governments, our governments, make a report to the United Nations, and I think it's very important the presence of the member of International Migrants Alliance to be there. Even we know that there is difficulties despite of the pandemic, and also it's not cheap to stay there.
True.
That I say that it's very difficult, more bureaucratic. Visa limited, and also mostly the migrant workers they don't have visa, or it's we know how difficult to enter US. Yeah. So any maybe
Yeah.
you
This
can
this is the last day, no?
yeah, yeah,
Of a 1 week IMF review. Then
yes.
we are looking forward for your action or
Mhm.
particular activities that
Yes.
will happen today.
Yeah, I think before any, maybe, and because any also need to prepare to going to the United Nations, maybe you want to ask any what your message to migrants, because I know there is some member join online in Facebook. Maybe better if they know what we can do to
Yeah.
make sure that we are watching the process.
And we
Yeah.
can participate even if
Yes.
we are not there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in IMA, we are actually very, very, we should be proud of having IMA, because IMA is actually trying to bring the voices of the migrants on the ground to the global arena, and also from the global how to bring back the message to the ground. Because what we have to understand, all the migration policy, it is designed internationally. It is not designed nationally only. So
Mhm.
whatever our government is doing, even Philippines, Indonesia, and Bangladesh, or sending government are doing, is part of the global scheme on migration. Even what Hong Kong, Taiwan, Australia, or any government that we are working now is part of the global scheme. So unless we understand the global scheme, it is very difficult for us to understand why there is job hopping, why we are being deported, why become undocumented, why our salary never go up, but it can go down, and then why holiday is being denied. So all this thing is part of the global scheme, So that's why IMA believe that for us to participate in the international arena is very important, and also it's important for us to bring our own voices. We cannot rely to others, because if we rely to others, the message become different. It's no longer about our problem. It will be
Mhm.
about, maybe funding, or maybe about only labor right. But our problem is more complicated than labor right. We have immigration problem. We have police. We have detention. We have a human right violation. We have a rape case. We have a death penalty. Who will bring all these stories to the global arena? So that's why IMA is committed to really make sure that the more migrants to participate in the global arena, but also for us to change. We come to the United Nations to change, not to enjoy or just have a photo with the building, right? We come here to change, so they will listen to us, and they will also follow. They will also fulfill our demands. So my message to our friends in different part of the world, um, we know that the GCM might be important, and United Nations might have a role in migration, but they are not our rescue. We cannot rely on UN or the government to rescue us, or even the GCM. So even we come here, we know this is not the solution. This is not the immediate solution for us. The solution is still rely on our organizing day-to-day program of the organization and our own solidarity with our local. Yeah. So that's why for us, we have to use the GCM for our advocacy and campaign. We use the government commitment and pressure them. You say that you want to protect migrants, and we have this problem, something like that. So you contrast what the government say inside the United Nations and what they do on the ground. So this is one of the key role of the GCM, because here in the United Nations, government only talks sweet, they don't talk bitter, only us talk bitter. So they only talk sweet, sweet all the time. We drink black coffee, and they are drinking sweet coffee. So it's different. So that's why our role is really to shame the government when they say they have done this, they have done that. And second, the next round, second round of the IMRF will already start after this meeting finish. That means we have to go back to our national government and question them. Question them. So what is your process on GCM? How can we join you in the GCM report? So we have to ask accountability of the government to tell us their plan of implementing the GCM. Unlike now, everything is very secretive. No one knows what happened in Philippines, Indonesia, Bangladesh, in Hong Kong. No one knows. But they come here and say they already done this and done that and done that. You know what I mean? So I think this is very important for us to go back to national level and then question and demand transparency and accountability. But in the next 3 years, that means three years from now, there will be regional process in the Office of the United Nations in Asia Pacific in Bangkok. And we also have to make sure that there are more migrants to speak there from Asia Pacific. And then again, in 2026, the second round of IMRF will happen in New York again. So hoping by that time we can bring more. Now we bring 12, maybe we bring 20 next time, right?
Or
But then of course
more.
we have to prepare. We have to prepare. So again, just use the CCM for our advocacy and campaign. We have a lot of support from inside United Nations. A lot of people are agreeing with us that the voices of the migrants should be the principle of the principle in the migration program or the GCM. They also now try to come up with what they call it meaningful participation. So we are hoping that there will be more support to the grassroots organization in the next round. With hoping that in 2026 there will be increased number of grassroots migrant leaders joining the GCM, the IMRF process. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Annie. Yeah, long live international solidarity.
Yeah, long live international
Yeah.
solidarity.
We are the witness during pandemic how the government abandoned us. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yes.
yeah, and definitely we're going to echo
Yes.
what will be the result of your visit in US and plan out what will be the corporate step that you're going to do to get the attention and responsibility
Yes.
of our government
Yeah.
regarding our
Yes.
issues.
So that's why we cannot stop by today. We need to continue until 2026. Yeah. Remember that the IMRF, the second IMRF will be happen on 2026.
Yeah.
So we make sure that how we asking our government how we can participate in their negotiation, dialogue, or when they are making regulation for migrant. Against, don't talk about migrant without migrants, because we
Yeah.
know what the government can do. How we know how to change. Yeah, we know that what the problems. Yeah, so I think that it's very important the message from Annie, and thank you Annie for for your update, and good luck for your activity. Stay safe and healthy, and also send our regards to all the comrades, who
Yes.
stay in US.
Yeah, give our regards to our comrades and
Yeah,
members of IMA
in
US.
US.
Yeah, and to continue, na?
Yes.
Now let's watch an action taken, but by our migrants and friends now in Malaysia. So let's look at it.
Include domestic workers in the minimum wage order now.
Full inclusion of domestic workers' rights equal to other workers in labor law now.
Bring errant employer and all human traffickers to justice now.
The workplace should not kill me.
Protect undocumented migrant workers from forced labor exploitation. Right to redress now.
Friends, migrant in Malaysia who stand up for the rights and welfare of our fellow migrants. Whenever we are not alone in this fight. Long live migrants of the world. From Malaysia, we will go to the message and protest action from Macau, Hong Kong, Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore. Please watch what their action.
Good day, everyone. Long live the migrant workers. Long live international solidarity. Today, the International Migration Review Forum and the Global Compact on Migration, currently held in the US, will discuss how to improve the conditions of migrants and refugees all over the world. Today, migrant leaders from different countries will share their situations and hope that the IMRF and the GCM can give concrete recommendations to give justice to the plights of migrant workers and refugees all over the world. Long live international solidarity.
Include migrants in protective scheme of COVID-19.
Include migrants in protective COVID-19.
Protect migrants' rights.
Protect
migrants'
migrants' rights.
Stop stigmatization of migrant workers.
Stop stigmatization of migrant workers.
Living wage for all.
Living wage for all.
Provide migrant workers of decent accommodation.
Live ban the migrant workers with blue card holder.
Kami dari organisasi IMA-Macau, Indonesian Migrant Worker Union di Macau mendukung organisasi penggiat migran dalam forum IMRF 2002 di New York. Sebagai BMI di Macau, kami merasa kurangnya perlindungan pemerintah Indonesia secara maksimal, seperti tidak adanya kantor resmi KJRI di Macau sehingga kesulitan apabila kami terjadi masalah di Macau. Tidak adanya perjanjian antara kedua belah pihak negara Indonesia dan Macau tentang ketenaga kerjaan di Macau, sehingga BMI hanya bergantung kebijakan pada negara penempatan saja. Pemerintah Indonesia yang masih belum mengakui apabila ada BMI yang bekerja di Macau sampai saat ini. Shelter KJRI yang fungsinya belum maksimal untuk seluruh buruh migran di Macau. Pelayanan KJRI saat ini hanya spesial untuk pembuatan paspor saja. Dalam aksi global compact migran ini, kami menuntut ke pemerintah Indonesia untuk lebih perhatian ke buruh migran di Macau dan memberi perlindungan yang maksimal meskipun kami dianggap tidak resmi oleh pemerintah Indonesia karena kami adalah pekerja resmi di Macau. Kami punya kontribusi terhadap kedua belah pihak negara, jadi jangan ada perbedaan dengan BMI di negara penempatan yang resmi oleh Indonesia. Terima kasih, semoga tuntutan kami didengarkan oleh pemerintah Indonesia. Salam solidaritas.
Migrants are not virus carriers. Stop discrimination.
Changing employer is not a crime. Not to malicious accusation of migrant workers of job hopping.
Provide migrant workers a decent accommodation.
Include migrant workers in statutory minimum wage.
We are workers. We are not slaves. Ratify C-189. We are workers. We are not slaves.
We are workers.
We are not slaves. We are workers. We are not slaves.
We are workers.
We are not slaves.
Sa tuloy na pagdami ng kaso ng mga COVID sa mga manggagawa, ang panawagan ng mga manggagawa dito sa Taiwan ay sapat na ayuda at assistance mula sa gobyerno, lalo sa panahon kung kailan hindi sila makapagtrabaho.
I'm Lennon Wang from Serve the People Association. SPA supports IMA on the International Action Day for Migrant Workers. In Taiwan, we have so many issues that still lack of notice. Number one, there are so many factory workers. They don't have a fair condition in the factory. Number two, most of the migrant workers, they still have to pay a heavy placement fee. The debt bondage is still making their condition worse. Number three, the fishermen and domestic workers, until now, they don't have the Labor Standard Act. And number four, COVID-19 make their situation worse. So we demand a genuine Labor Standard Act for all migrant workers to cover all. We demand the pension for all migrant workers. And we demand a social justice, a fair working condition, and fair recruitment system for all the migrant workers. Fair recruitment for migrant workers!
Fair recruitment for migrant workers!
Migrant rights is human rights!
Migrant rights is human rights!
Nothing about migrants without migrants!
Nothing about migrants without migrants!
Maraming salamat!
Solidarity forever! Solidarity forever! Solidarity forever! For the union makes us strong. When the
We are not
inspiration
okay.
through the workers' blood shall run. There can be no greater power anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength
We are
of
not
one?
happy because
The
long time we
union
cannot go back
makes
our
us
home. We cannot
strong.
visit our place due to pandemic. Okay, because we are not allowed to meet our friends and family and our person.
We are workers. We are not slaves.
The prairies built the cities where they
We
trained.
are workers. We are not slaves.
Now we stand out cast
Long live international solidarity.
Long live international solidarity.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never
Long live international solidarity! Thank you to our fellow workers from Macau, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Friends and fellow migrants, we heard the different stories and call of our migrants in Asia Pacific. Indeed, migrants are working so hard to fight for the inclusion and stop the broad discrimination, violence, and stigmatization in our sectors.
Yeah, and for our next global action is from our Indonesian migrant from Taiwan, Korea, and Singapore. So let's watch them.
Kami menuntut agar pemberlakuan kontrak mandiri tanpa melibatkan agensi yang selama ini berbasis bisnis dan mengutamakan keuntungan sehingga pekerja migran Indonesia rentan overcharging. Yang kedua, masukkan PRT dalam Undang-Undang Ketenagakerjaan di Taiwan. Kami juga bekerja seperti layaknya pekerja lain. Jadi jangan ada diskriminasi antara pekerja formal dengan informal. Cabut BPJS TKI. Asuransi yang dikeluarkan oleh pemerintah Indonesia, namun tidak ada manfaat ketika kami berada di negara Taiwan. Hanya bisa diklaim ketika kami meninggal dunia ataupun kecelakaan kerja. Sedangkan asuransi ini sudah disediakan di negara Taiwan. Dan juga ratifikasi ILO 189 serta hapus batas masa kontrak kerja di Taiwan tanpa syarat. Kami pekerja yang juga mempunyai kontribusi ekonomi untuk kedua negara. Dan kami berharap dalam setiap forum yang membicarakan kami juga dilibatkan karena kami bukan hanya sebagai objek yang diperbincangkan.
Bahwasanya pemerintah harus hadir melindungi dan memfasilitasi buruh migran Indonesia tanpa memandang dan membedakan status serta lintas sektor. Ingat, jangan bicara tentang kami tanpa kami.
1. Hapus wajib KTKLN atau KTP luar negeri. 2. Menerapkan perekrutan langsung untuk pekerja rumah tangga migran. 3. Memberikan perlindungan bukan peraturan yang membuat hidup kami lebih sulit. 4. Melibatkan pekerja migran dalam pembuatan kebijakan dan peraturan. 5. Hapus BPJS TKI atau asuransi PRT yang tidak bisa kami klaim di tempat kerja kami. Jangan membuat aturan tanpa melibatkan kami. Kami adalah pekerja, bukan budak.
Bumi Hong Kong menuntut pemerintah Indonesia untuk segera mengimplementasikan Undang-Undang PPMI Pasal 30 sebagai upaya peniadaan perbudakan hutang dan berlakukan zero cost yang adil, transparan, dan memihak pada buruh migran dan anggota keluarganya, serta libatkan buruh migran dalam setiap pembuatan kebijakan bagi buruh migran dan anggota keluarganya.
Stop to overcharging.
Hukum seberat-beratnya pelaku tindak pidana perdagangan orang dan stop perdagangan manusia.
Kabar Bumi berterima kasih dan bangga kepada seluruh buruh migran Indonesia dan keluarganya, serta kawan-kawan pendukung seperti advokat, akademisi, dan praktisi yang turut berpartisipasi memperjuangkan hak-hak buruh migran dan keluarganya.
Mendukung perjuangan teman-teman organisasi migran, organisasi mantan buruh migran, organisasi keluarga buruh migran dalam merespon pertemuan IMRF 2022 dan DCM.
Mendorong dan mendukung pemerintah Indonesia dalam menghentikan praktik penahanan dokumen dan pengenaan biaya yang berlebih dan tidak wajar kepada buruh migran Indonesia, serta menindak tegas para pelaku tindak pidana perdagangan orang sampai ke akar-akarnya.
Mendesak pemerintah Indonesia untuk melindungi segenap tumpah darah Indonesia dengan menyelamatkan ratusan nyawa pekerja migran dari hukuman mati atau eksekusi mati.
Stop human trafficking dan hentikan skala skema dan mekanisme internasional yang mengeksploitasi pekerja migran.
Dokumen yang digelapkan, kasus-kasus kekerasan seksual, gaji yang tidak terbayar, bukan hal yang sederhana. Satu, terjadi pelanggaran hak asasi manusia, tetap saja pelanggaran hak asasi manusia.
Access to basic service for migrants should be provided. Consular protection, assistance, and cooperation throughout migration cycle should be available.
I would like also to support a call for a global compact for, with, and by migrants, the IMRF for, with, and by migrants, advocate for migrants' meaningful participations in IMRF, nothing about migrant without migrants, migrant voice are matters, migrants are experts with their lived experience.
Advocacy should not be stopped
just because of narrow interest along with economic and political short-sighting. Migrants should be live peacefully every time and everywhere. Stop overcharging, support migrant media and technology literacy, implement a respectful law, and fully support migrant rights.
Yeah, thank you to all our Indonesian friends from different part of Asia Pacific. You give a very strong message to our government, and I hope we can ask different supporters to more voice is better to for migrant workers' life. Yeah. So Dola, maybe we need to call our difference and global action. Yeah.
Yes, but before that, to continue, we would like to hear a message from our fellow workers from Australia.
Warm greetings of solidarity to everyone. First of all, I'd like to pay respect to the First Nation people of Australia, in particular to the Whadjuk Noongar people in Western Australia, where I am located. The First Nations people are the traditional custodians of this land, have never been ceded, and never will be. We express our solidarity to them and support their struggles for land rights and social justice, including systemic racism and right to self-determination. The International Migrant Alliance Australia, formed in December last year, supports the demands of all migrants and refugees for health, aid, jobs, and justice. We salute all member organizations of IMA, particularly the representatives and community leaders attending the Global Forum in the United States. We salute all members for their struggle against neoliberalism, the effects of the pandemic, fascism, and wars. The pandemic has worsened the plight of migrants and refugees. We see our jobs disappearing, healthcare deteriorating, relief aids decreasing, or even hard to come by. The effects of neoliberalism are intensifying into wars of aggression in many parts of the globe. Every single day, the rising fascism and imperialism have caused wars, killings, and destruction of our human and cultural societies. The IMA Australia takes this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to expand and strengthen our movements and to intensify our struggles for jobs, rights, and genuine social change. While many governments were forced to provide temporary aid to migrants and refugees during pandemic, these economic aids were the result of advocacies of migrant organizations and worker unions. Indeed, the capitalist governments are taking advantage of the abundance of unemployed skilled labor due to the pandemic, which directly impacts on migrants and refugees in host countries. Clearly, we see the neoliberal policies of the monopoly capitalist system as the main cause of the people's miseries, including migrants and refugees. Indeed, greater unity among migrants and refugees need to happen in all nations of all nationalities. We call on peoples of the world to unite and defend jobs and health and fight for justice and rights against neoliberalism, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, rising fascism, and imperialist wars of aggression. Down with imperialism and the neoliberal globalization. Long live IMA. Long live socialism. Marami pong salamat.
Long live international solidarity. Thank you so much, IMA Australia. And now to continue, we would like to listen now from New Zealand, the IMA New Zealand.
Hello, my name is Mandeep Bella. I'm the president of Union Network of Migrants in New Zealand. We aim to protect and promote the rights and welfare of migrant workers in New Zealand. I'm also the ICB member of International Migrants Alliance. I'm currently in New York to attend the United Nations Conference on International Migrants Review Forum on the GCM. Global Compact for Migration was signed in 2018, and New Zealand is also a signatory to the GCM. However, 4 years on, Till now, we haven't seen any meaningful participation of migrants and migrant organizations in New Zealand to ensure that the government is meeting the 23 objectives of the GCM. There are no mechanisms in place for that to allow that to happen. A few weeks ago, I attended a forum organized by government officials in New Zealand to talk about migrant exploitation, and I asked this very question, if they actually looked at including 23 objectives of the GCM. I wasn't surprised that they didn't know about it. So it's important that we ask for accountability. It's important we ask for meaningful participation, and that's what I'm here for. Through UNIMIG, we have highlighted many issues for migrant workers in New Zealand. One of those issues is the attachment of visa to a particular employer. We call it bonded or slave labor. Migrant workers get exploited because their visas are attached to the employer, and they often are scared to raise their issues in the employment authority. And there are a lot of, since the pandemic, there are a lot of migrant workers who have lost their lives, a lot of migrant workers who were first in line to lose their jobs, and a lot of migrants were discriminated. It's important we raise their voices, and that's what we do. And for example, in New Zealand, a lot of migrant workers who went to their home countries when the pandemic began, they were not allowed to come back to New Zealand. Till now, there are a lot of migrant workers who are still stuck offshore. Their visas expired, and the New Zealand government made no effort to allow them to come back to New Zealand. I've heard heart-wrenching stories from these migrants, and this is not how it should be, especially in a country which is considered to be kind and compassionate. This is why it's important for migrant workers and everybody to unite together to raise their voices, and we will continue to do so. Thank you.
So after we hear our global action from New Zealand, next we will call our friend from Bangladesh, Purpose and also Anisul. They are member of IMA in Bangladesh.
Hello, this is Parvez Siddiqui. I'm working for Migrant Worker Rights based in Bangladesh. We are demanding for migrant rights, especially to create jobs for the migrants, aid for the migrants, and also we are demanding justice for migrants. And this message is from the all migrants of Bangladesh, by migrants, for migrants. Thank you.
So there is some technical problem, yeah, because we know that they are just sending us their message by this evening. I hope that the technical can help us how to continue the message from Bangladesh. Please, yeah.
I am Anisul Rahman Khan from Bangladesh. I am a returning migrant. I am the executive director of IMA Research Foundation. IMA is a community-based grassroots migrant organization in Bangladesh. I am also the director of migration of AWAS Foundation. AWAS is a workers' right-based organization. All the organization working at home and abroad. Last 2017, when the GCM stock taking was arranged in Mexico, I had the opportunity to attend there, and I propose a lot of recommendation for the GCM. From there, 23 objective has taken. Being a returning migrant community workers, I always raise my voice for the migrant workers' involvement, participation. But since 4 years, migrant workers' participation was not that likely. That's why I came New York to attend GCM first International Migrant Review Forum to raise our migrant workers' participation actively. I hope all peoples will raise their voice in favor of migrant workers. Thank you.
Long live international solidarity.
Thank
Long
you.
live international solidarity.
And thank you, Anis, for that
Yes.
such good message.
And as Annie said, we migrant itself will be the only one who can assure and give the real situation in the ground. That's why we are really disappointed in the International Migrants Review Forum in New York, where there's no real representation among the panel of speakers that come from the migrants sector to speak for ourselves, and therefore we are not sure that the true face and situation of migrant will be able to picture.
And that's why today Global's action shows the messages of migrants all over the world. This is also an opportunity for us to show our unity, collective action, and solidarity to the world and amplify our issues and demands and our cry for change. And to conclude today's program, our global action, we were glad to have with us Ms. Glorin Das, the Executive Director of Tenaganita and a member of IMA-ICB. So let's hear from Glorin Das of Tenaganita, Malaysia.
Thank you very much, Dolo, answering for this amazing program that we have organized together with our members who are already in New York today. Dear comrades, thank you very much for all your actions in the region, especially in this Asia Pacific region, to continue supporting all grassroots migrants and refugees while echoing their plights, their challenges, their struggles as migrants and refugees throughout the world today. As you know, migrants and refugees all around the world experience oppression, exploitation that is so rooted from imperialism and neoliberal globalization policies. And due to this, the problems and struggles of our communities remain unsolved. You heard testimonies today in the program. You heard the voices of those who are directly affected. And every day in the course of our work, in our daily lives, we witness migrants and refugees experience pain, suffering, and struggle daily to assert their rights as human beings, as workers. So today, we continue our calls and demands for the right to health, aid, employment, and justice. We emphasize that the policies at all levels must be grounded in human rights. Therefore, it cannot be exclusive as what we have seen in the global compact and the processes that is taking place in New York today, as Annie shared a while ago. And in nature, when it's exclusive, we know it is very, very discriminating. We hope our demands are heard and seen from the grassroots level, so our voices can be heard louder and clearer, so there will be meaningful participation in the international platform. Reminding what Annie said, nothing about us without us, nothing about migrants without migrants. We must keep resisting the neoliberal impositions that gravely affect our communities, and we must genuinely struggle and fight for change. We must and we need to address forced labor migration, modern day slavery, and above all, the commodification of migrants. So let's continue our joint efforts, and together, one day, we can see policies in place, both in host and destination countries and source countries, where migrants are included in medical, financial, economic aid, and all the other reliefs, not just during the crisis time like the pandemic, but also at all times, with lasting improvement in public health and social protection. We need to come together to see the end of the weaponization of migrants and refugees and displaced people as national security threats. We, as IMA, we want to see a borderless world with no barbed wires, no walls, no corruption, no neoliberal policies to control us. And finally, we can claim as the citizens of the world where everyone can live a life of dignity and rights. And we, as IMA, will continue our struggle stronger by organizing migrants throughout the world today to stand for justice. Thank you very much. Long live international solidarity. Over to you, Dolo Sring.
Long live international solidarity. We are workers, we are not slaves. Thank you very much, Doreen, for a very powerful closing message. Definitely, we will not stop our call, our demands. In today's program, we will continue to stop the forced migration. We will continue to stop the neoliberal policies imposed to migrant workers all over the world. And we will rally all the migrant workers to that cause. Okay, so
Thank you.
this program should end. We are very thankful to
Yes.
all the IMA members who participated in our program. And after this program, you can watch this again in the IMA Facebook page. So
And
you
please
just
share.
yeah, and please share.
Yeah.
Yeah, please share our program to our members.
Yeah.
So
Thank you again.
thank you again.
For all speaker, despite of the limitation, they able to send us a video support for all migrant and support the IMA member who stay in the United Nations to doing action and also monitoring what the government report about migrants. Thank you again, yeah.
Yes, and on behalf of International Migrants Alliance, thank you and good night. Good day, everyone. Have a nice day.
Oh